Respected viewers, brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of The Mother of Loyalty with me, your host Ahmed Ali. For the dear viewers who are just tuning in for the first time, I advise to check out our YouTube channel at Imam Hussein TV to view the previous episodes along with other playlists or other series. Now, before I begin the episode, I would like to send my condolences to Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman. May Allah hasten his reappearance. To you, my dear viewers, to all the Muslim communities out there, and to the Ahl al-Bayt, of course, and to our pious scholars, for the demise anniversary of one of the greatest ladies in Islamic history. It is no other than Fatima al-Kilabiyya, also known as Al Baneen, mother of the several sons. Now, and yesterday we began to discuss some of the brief introduction into the life of Al Baneen. May peace and blessings be upon her. As I mentioned, one of the greatest ladies in Islamic history, and we also touched upon who was she the descendant of, what kind of family raised an individual like Al Baneen, what takes to become an individual like Al Baneen. And of course, a lot of people, when they mention Al Baneen and why don't you be like Al Baneen, they say, well, she's an infallible. She's not an infallible. She does not even have a minor infallibility. Al Baneen chose to live the life she chose to live by according to the teachings of Islam and her affection towards Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. And that's what enabled her to become that great individual that every Imam of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam praise her and, you know, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant her the greatest rank in paradise, although I believe she has the highest rank in paradise for the sacrifices she gave for the religion of Islam. But today, I want to focus on several points. Number one, what is the importance on raising righteous children? Number two, how was Al Baneen able to raise 4 children and put them at the disposal and at the service of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam? Number three, what did Al Baneen do to Al-Abbas that made him the most distinguished from his brothers to become the moon of Bani Hashim, unlike the rest of his brothers, although they also sacrificed themselves, which we'll inshallah get to touch upon. But to begin, as a parent to a 2-year-old, being a parent is a lot of fun, brings joy, love, and a lot of excitement to the life of parents. On the other hand, this stage that an individual goes through, parenting, or a couple go through, bears a lot of challenges, and a lot of hard work has to be put into the life of the child. So the solution to this is parenting teamwork, which helps the couple get through the challenges in a positive way, help them raise children to be on the correct path that they wish to be. And always remember that an individual, if they seek to raise children from day one, when they get their consciousness, growing up less than a year, over a year, they will begin to imitate everything that the parents do, because they are the ones who spend the majority of the time with. So it's very important to spend as much time as we can with our children. Inshallah, we'll get to touch upon this, how Al Baneen alayhi salam, Fatima al-Kilabiyya, peace and blessings be upon her, spent the majority of her time with her children. Some may say that back then there was no occupation, life wasn't as hard. Trust me, life back then for Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam was pretty hard. Everyone within the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam suffered so much for them to be this great. So when someone says life wasn't that hard, it was harder than now. But now the mentality's changed. Hopefully through examining the life of individuals like Al Baneen alayhi salam, we can learn how to become individuals as a mother, or as a daughter for my dear sisters, or as a wife. You know, try to learn as much as you can from the life of Al Baneen alayhi salam. But recent studies in the field of social sciences across the globe consistently demonstrate the crucial role that a mother plays within the well-being of her children, her husband, and especially the family as a whole. Specialists in parenting highlight how mother's parenting, relationship status, and stability, along with her own well-being, is correlated with the welfare of her children and her family. Whatever the mother is going to, the psychological aspects of the mother determines whether her children will grow up to be the individuals she wishes to grow up in. That's why we see individuals like Al Baneen, peace and blessings be upon her. When, yesterday we mentioned that when Al Baneen alayhi salam was about to get engaged to Imam Ali ibn Talib, the first thing Ali ibn Talib said was loyalty. Inshallah, I'll get to touch upon this. But with this brief intro into the importance of raising children, it's crucial to point out that the first step towards a successful marriage lies on the shoulders of the man or on the husband. What is the first step? Yesterday we discussed the request of Ali ibn Talib alayhi salam from his brother Aqil about finding the commander of the faithful a wife. Now, did Ali ibn Abi Talib stop at find me a wife? Absolutely not. He said to Aqil, I want a wife who's a descendant of a valiant family that is brave. He did not stop at find me a wife. He did not either stop at find me a wife, a descendant from a valiant family, because as some people may know, and as history has proven to us, that an individual who comes from a heroic family might not be heroic himself, but Ali ibn Abi Talib put in other characteristics that he wants within the wife that he's looking for. So he says, I want a brave woman, a patient and a loyal wife, and a wife that can bear me a child who will aid my son Imam Hussein alayhi salam on the day of Ashura. Hence, this is the first step into a healthy and a successful marriage. Choosing the right future mother for your children. And of course, it goes vice versa. Choosing the right future father for your children as well, for my dear sisters. It goes both ways. For the individual, it needs a good father and a good son. And of course, fathers, as I mentioned yesterday, we have 124,000 prophets to take as role models, and we have 13 infallibles out of 14 who are male that we can take as role models. And of course, we can take the female role models as well into our daily lives and learn from them. Because Al Baneen, bravery, Fatima al-Zahra, bravery and forbearance, just like Al Baneen, Khadija, Zainab alayhi salam, Lady Ma'suma, the mother of Imam al-Mahdi, Lady Narjis. We have so many, Ar-Rabab, Kulthum, so many. They range from different ages. So it's important to take these individuals as role models. But in this process of Imam Ali ibn Talib asking Aqil, going to Hizam al-Kilabi's house and asking for the hand of Al Baneen, marriage to Ali ibn Talib alayhi salam, she was introduced to the commander of the faithful. Now, yesterday we also touched upon the name of Al Baneen. A lot of people don't actually know the actual name of Al Baneen. A lot of people, when they say, what is the name of Al Baneen? And I actually went around to ask this. A lot of people, I asked them about this. What is the name of Al Baneen? Just the general publics. They said, well, isn't her name Al Baneen, mother of the several sons? It's unfortunate to see that. The name of Al Baneen, I touched upon it earlier and in yesterday's episode, is Fatima al-Kilabiyya. Now, why did she change this name from Fatima to Baneen? Baneen meaning mother of the several sons. Why did she change it? The first couple of months that Baneen was in the house of Ali ibn Talib alayhi salam, as a usual thing, as a husband, I would call my wife by her name. As a wife, she would call me by my name. And it goes around the entire world, something normal, something that individuals, they just are comfortable with each other. Even if they're not, they still call each other with their names. Now, even Ali ibn Talib alayhi salam, when he was married to Fatima al-Zahra, the daughter of Prophet Muhammad, she would call him Abul Hasnain. and he will call her Al Hasnain or Fatima. So we see that, a husband calling a wife is something totally normal. Now, why did Al Baneen change her name from Fatima to Al Baneen? This is the main question I want to talk about. Al Baneen, the first couple of months, Imam Ali Talib alayhi salam was doing the normal. He was calling her Fatima. Now, after a while, Baneen began to realize that whenever Ali ibn Talib would call her Fatima, she would look at Imam Al-Hassan, Al-Hussein, Zainab, Kulthum. Their facial expressions changed. They became depressed, sad. Why? Because this name reminds them of their mother, reminds them of the difficulties Fatima al-Zahra had to go through, the struggles she had to bear, the oppressions she went through. That's why whenever Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam would call his wife, which is his right, would call his wife by her name Fatima, she would look at Imam Hassan and Hussein and they would be upset. So she goes up to Imam Ali ibn Talib alayhi salam. She tells him, "Oh my master, look how Baneen refers to her husband. She has the full right to refer to him as my love Ali, O Abul Hasnain. She has the full right to do so. But from day one, she came in saying, I am a servant in this house. I am not here to be like Fatima al-Zahra. I am a mere servant in your house. That's it." So she refers to her husband as, "Oh my master," and even to Zainab alayhi salam, even to Imam al-Hassan and al-Hussein and Kulthum, she would refer to them as, "Oh my master." Let us keep that in mind. So anyway, she goes up to Imam Ali, she says, "I want you to change my name." He says, well, he was amazed. Why? She said, "Every time you call me Fatima, I look at the faces of your children and they change because that name reminds them of their mother. And they go through pain when they hear that name." So Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, he said to her, "Well, what do you want to be called?" She says, "I want to be called Al Baneen, mother of the several sons." She hasn't bared any children yet. She hasn't had any children yet. Yet, she still wants to be called Al Baneen. Now, 6 years later, in this marriage, everyone began to call her Al Baneen, and even the children of Imam Ali ibn Talib alayhi salam began to call her Al Baneen, and Zainab alayhi salam and the others would call her O mother, because the affection she had towards Fatima al-Zahra, as I will inshallah get to touch upon, and the affection she had towards the Ahl al-Bayt and the children of Ahl al-Bayt, it was amazing. Proved to Zainab and to Kulthum and Imam al-Hassan and Hussein that she has love towards them. So in return, they began to call her O mother. But 6 years after Baneen, after this marriage, she gave birth to the first child, who was Al-Abbas alayhi salam. She also had other children. She had Abdullah, she had Uthman and Ja'far. But the one that really stood out was Al-Abbas alayhi salam, who was born on the 4th of Sha'ban in the 26th year after Hijrah in Medina. All these 4 young men were trained by Baneen. They looked up to their father's great personality, his great character. And second, they looked and they learned from the high morals of their mother, the nurture that their mother showed them, the loyalty she showed, the forbearance, the altruism, the loyalty she showed towards Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam. So these 4 learned from Baneen, their mother. Each of them embodied the virtues of valor, decency, nobleness, and benevolence. Each one of them stood side by side to defend Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam from day one. But as I mentioned, the most distinctive one out of all of them was Al Abbas alayhi salam. But inshallah, I will get to touch upon this more, but after this short break, so stay tuned. Respected viewers, brothers and sisters in Islam, once again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the second part of today's episode, where we have started to touch upon Fatima al-Kilabiyya, aka Al Baneen, how she was as a mother and how she was able to raise righteous children and put them at the service of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Now we left off at why is Al-Abbas distinguished from the rest of his brothers. There's an instant that shows the loyalty of Al-Abbas and that shows the patience and loyalty of Al Baneen alike. Now, and this instance is one day Imam Abi Talib alayhi salam had his child Abu Fadl Abbas as a child in his lap, and Imam Ali begins to roll up his son's sleeve and begins to kiss his hand and cry. Wasn't just crying, was weeping. Al Baneen was surprised, she was shocked. She goes up to Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam and she says to him, "Oh my master, why is it you're crying?" He says, he looks at her, heartbroken. He says to her, "This child of ours will lose his hands in the future." Al Baneen was shocked. It's like a lightning hit her, a lightning bolt. She just collapsed. She sat beside Ali ibn Talib and she says, "Please tell me why. Why is my son going to lose his hands?" Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam said to her, "His hands will be cut off from the forearms." She begins to cry and cry. Both of them cry. Everyone around them begins to cry. These words hit Baneen so hard that she couldn't bear it anymore. She says, "Tell me why, O Amir al-Mu'mineen." He said to her that this son of ours will lose his arms defending his brother Imam Hussein, protecting Islam and the Prophet's daughter Zainab alayhi salam and Kulthum and the Prophet's progeny. Baneen, I mean, in a situation like this, a mother would cry, yes. She would say why. She would, try to avoid such a situation, try to tell her son, what, stay safe. What did Baneen do? Yes, she was in grief. Yes, the news hurts. But what did Baneen do that presents her loyalty to Ahlul Bayt, that presents her patience towards Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam? She looks up to the sky and she says, "Oh Allah, I thank you for granting me a son that will aid my master Imam Hussein on the day of Ashura, sacrificing his two arms for Islam." Do we comprehend the idea of what's going on here? The forbearance and the patience that Fatima al-Kilabiyya Baneen is showing. She looks up to the sky and she says, "Oh Allah, I thank you for granting me this offer, that I can sacrifice myself, my son for Islam." This is the way we should think. I'm not saying let's go sacrifice ourselves, no. The least we can do is sacrifice our time for Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Keeping in mind, with all this being said, keeping in mind that Baneen, when she entered the house of Imam Abi Talib alayhi salam, as I mentioned yesterday, she was 16 or 18 years of age. She can be arrogant towards the children. She doesn't have to do whatever they say. But as soon as she enters, she goes to the children, to the orphans of Fatima Zahra and Imam Ali, and she says to them, "I am your servant." And she goes beyond that. She says, "If I bear any children, and if I have any children, I will commit them to your service." This is the great and elevated status of Baneen. She deserves to be ranked as the highest, one of the highest women within Islam, which she is. And unfortunately, not a lot of people get to mention the life of Baneen, especially only on her occasion or on the martyrdom of Al-Abbas alayhi salam. We should always keep Baneen in our mind. However, she tells that, even if I have any children, they will be at the service of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Ever since Al-Abbas and his brothers, saw their mother treat the sons of Fatima al-Zahra and the sons of Imam Ali ibn Talib this way, it increased their love to Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. What's so interesting about this as well is when Abu al-Fadl Abbas, Abdullah, Uthman, and Ja'far, when they came, as they were children, brothers and sisters referred to each other as what? Yani Abbas, Hussein, Hassan, Zainab, Kulthum, correct? I'm Ahmed, I refer to my brother by his name. But what did Al Baneen tell her children to do? Al-Abbas, Ja'far, Abdullah, and Uthman. She says, when you want to refer to Zainab, to Kulthum, to Imam Hussein, and to Imam Hassan, you do not refer to them by their name. They are the sons of Fatima al-Zahra. You are not. You are the sons of a slave of Ahlul Bayt. So you refer to them as my master Hussein, my master Hassan, my master Zainab. Do you understand how Al Baneen is raising her children? Did they feel ashamed of this? Absolutely not, because they had cognizant understanding of who Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam were. Now some people doubt some different instances and events. They think that it's degrading for Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. I'm not saying Ahlul Bayt will do something shameful, of course not. But Al-Abbas alayhi salam, well, Al-Abbas is so great, how would he lower himself? Because he lowered himself to Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted him a shrine where tens and tens of millions of people visit his shrine across the year. This is the status of Al-Abbas, because he lowered himself. It goes beyond that. Al Baneen, whenever Imam Hussein alayhi salam wanted water, she would not let him get up to get water. She would tell Al-Abbas to go get your brother, to go get our master Imam Hussein some water. When Al-Abbas would go to get him some water, he would come back, he would bow to Imam Hussein, put the water on his head and say, "Here, my master, you can drink water." This is the loyalty of a brother to a brother. And he would not get up until Imam Hussein alayhi salam would finish drinking. This is the loyalty that Al-Abbas implemented and showed towards Imam Hussein alayhi salam. A lot of people think that Al-Saq al-Atasha was a title given to Abu al-Fadl on the day of Ashura. No, this title was given to Abu al-Fadl as a young child whenever he used to bring the water to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He was called Al-Saqai, the individual who quenches the thirst. Where does this relate us to? And what really breaks the heart in the story is that throughout his life, Al-Abbas alayhi salam would refer to his brother according to his mother's teaching and nurture. He would refer to his brother Imam Hussein as my master throughout his life. But Al-Abbas was seen once and heard once calling Imam al-Hussein as "oh brother." When was that occasion? Al-Abbas alayhi salam went through to get water as Imam Hussein requested him to do so. He goes on a day of Ashura, he goes to get water. As he was coming back, the prophecy of his hands cut off turns into reality. His hands are cut off. There's an arrow in his eye, and the water pouch is pierced with an arrow. No water to go back to the orphans with, no water to go back to the children of Imam Hussein with. So what does Al-Abbas alayhi salam do? He stands and falls on the plains of Karbala. He calls out, "Oh my brother Hussein." This really broke and struck the heart of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Imam al-Hussein comes to him, he says, "Oh my brother, please do not call me master anymore. I want to hear you say, oh my brother. So they sit there together and weep. This is the loyalty that an individual should have towards Ahl Bayt alayhim salam. None of these individuals had infallibility, nor Al Baneen, nor Al Fadl, nor anyone, but they chose to live their lives as servants to Ahl Bayt alayhim salam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored them with this, as being the servants of Ahl Bayt alayhim salam. This is when Al-Abbas alayhi salam became the individual that Imam Hussein says, now my back has been broken. When Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam was murdered, Imam Hussein was not heard saying, now my back has been broken. Do you realize the connection between Al-Abbas, how he grew up to be the individual nurtured by Al Baneen to become the loyal brother of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his right hand man, and more likely his brother. What also made Abu al-Fadl Abbas so great is on the day of Ashura, Shimr ibn al-Jawshan came out and he called, where is our cousin? Where is our cousin Abbas? Abbas alayhi salam tells Imam Hussein, I do not want to answer him. Imam Hussein insisted, he goes out and see what this cursed individual wants. He says, leave Hussein and we can give you power. We can give you royalty. We can give you wealth, safety, water, whatever you want. Abbas alayhi salam looks at him and says, you want to offer me safety when the son of Fatimah al-Zahra and the daughters of Fatimah al-Zahra have no safety? One act after the other presents how Al-Baneen nurtured her children to be loyal towards Ahl Bayt alayhim salam. Another incident, at the deathbed of Imam Ali ibn Talib alayhi salam, when he was struck by Ibn Muljim al-Muradi on his deathbed, Zainab alayhi salam goes up to her father. She says to him, oh father, after you, who will be my guardian? Who will protect me? Imam Ali ibn Talib alayhi salam, he says, you have your brothers. She says, no, but I want one to be dedicated to me. He says, choose from among your brothers. She says, I want to choose Al-Abbas. Look at the beautiful connection. She chooses Al-Abbas alayhi salam. Imam Ali calls over his son Al-Abbas. He puts his hand in the hand of Zainab and he says, now you are the protector of my daughter Zainab, of your sister Zainab. What happened on the day of Ashura and after the day of Ashura? This connection here. Whenever Zainab went, Al-Abbas went. Whenever Zainab sat down, Al-Abbas had to be there. Whenever Zainab goes out, Al-Abbas goes out with her. On the day of Ashura, even before that, when they left Medina to go to Karbala, Al-Abbas would help his sister get on the saddle of the camel. But after Ashura, when everyone got up on the camel, Zainab stood looking left and right. They came up to her, they started whipping her, said, what are you waiting for? They said, who is here to aid me go upon the camel's back? No one is here. Where is Al-Abbas? The only individual that she called out for is Al-Abbas, because that individual was so dedicated towards Zainab alayhi salam. This teaches us a lesson of what? Of loyalty to our brothers and sisters, whether in blood or in faith. Many problems right now occur between family members, between a brother and a sister over materialistic things, over things that do not deserve for individuals. Yesterday, I heard a brother who is fighting another brother, his blood brother, over money. And it's not even a huge, even if it was a huge amount, it wasn't even a huge amount. But even if it was, the blood connection that connects you together and your love for Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam should teach you how to overcome that. Lastly, before I conclude, I want to and I wish to point out several things. Let us learn from Al Baneen, number one. Let us learn from Al Abbas alayhi salam how to raise our children to become righteous individuals to serve Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam in every way possible, just like Al Abbas served Imam Hussein in every way possible. We don't have to sacrifice our hands. We don't have to sacrifice our lives. We don't have to do anything. All we have to do is spread the message of Al Baneen, spread the message of Al Abbas. Tell people how to become mothers like Al Baneen, how to become daughters like Zainab, how to become children like Al Abbas and all of them. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to continue learning the knowledge of Ahlul Bayt. Do stay tuned for tomorrow's episode, for we will inshallah continue our discussion around Al Baneen. Once again, thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.